Today on Locked On Rockies, another wasted start while the rest of the NL West keeps winning and making big moves.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the third day of April in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you that daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And today on the show, we're going to talk about, of course, the loss yesterday and lots of moves going on in the rest of the National League West. Big extensions for big players. And I just wanted to point out something again, because unfortunately, it feels like the Colorado Rockies are being left behind in more ways than none. And we'll dive into that and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we dive into everything today, just want to again thank you for making us your first listen of the day. So yesterday, Kyle Freeland goes out, does his thing yet again, and a little bit of damage yesterday, a little bit of damage done with the two spot there in the fourth inning, but continuing to be a rock and handle some situations in which you trust Kyle Freeland, bases loaded, nobody out, and he doesn't have a strikeout. It's the heart of the order. It's the big guys. It's the best on the Phillies. Boom. K-free with the strikeouts. The starting pitching continues to show that it is indeed the backbone of this team. We talk about the defense and all that stuff, yes, but right now the pitching has been the best. We've seen the defense have a couple of errors and a couple of falters, and certainly we will see some starts that don't go the way of the Rockies as well. So not too worried about those kind of flip-flopping as the backbone for the Rockies. But again, Kyle Freeland goes out there and does his job, and what's it followed up with? It's followed up with the same exact problems, the same exact issues, the same exact things. And there's no reason to believe that the strikeout problems are going to go away anytime soon. There's no reason to believe that the offense problems are going to go away anytime soon, because it's the same philosophy. It's the same approach. Nothing changed. It's cut payroll. It's in some ways less talent. So it goes back to, so again, it's what are they going to start doing to start getting this figured out? Because they're it's not that they're losing. They look outmatched on offense. They look unprepared. This is a team that is striking out. I believe now it's over 55 times they've struck out in 5 games. But remember, the door's open. Everything's cool. The plan's working, yada, yada, yada. While this comes at a time that the Dodgers have moved on to be undefeated, the Padres have lost once this year. Arizona's 4-2 on a 3-game winning streak, with Eugenio Suarez being one of the most exciting things to start the season, and San Francisco has only lost 1 game. This was pointed out in the YouTube comment section here. Let me see if I can let's see if I can find the commenter here. Here's CD Grifter. What stands out is the fact that the Rockies have more losses than the rest of the NL West combined. While this is happening, while the Rockies are falling in the standings, while the Rockies are scuffling, while the Rockies are struggling, and mind you, Arizona's played the Cubs and the Yankees. Those are playoff teams. Those are division-winning teams that the Diamondbacks are beating and handling, both on the road and at home. Ketel Marte gets an extension. Zach Gallen, Ketel Marte agrees to an extension with the D-backs. I feel like I got that. I was on the D-backs page. He signs that extension, and hours later, Zach Gallen throws 13 strikeouts to shut down the Yankees yesterday. And then let's go over to San Diego. Jackson Merrill 9 years, $135 million extension, locking up these exciting these exciting guys, locking up these guys. While the Padres have improved to, like I said, only one loss on the season and making it 7-1. No, they're not that far yet, but regardless, the rest of the NL West continues to. San Diego hasn't lost yet. I apologize. 7-0, 2 undefeated teams. My apologies there to San Diego. This isn't surprising. This isn't anything new. This isn't any groundbreaking information. This is how the NL West actually is. This is truly what it is. These are teams that are good teams. These are teams that have made decisions, that have made tough calls, that have done big things on the front office side. And look where they're at. The NL West is looking out to be and shaping up to be the best division in baseball. I mean, these you can, while a bad stretch, I'm sure will hit these teams at some point. But the Rockies are already 5.5 games out of the division. 5.5 games out of the division, and we've played a week of baseball. They're being left behind. They're being left behind in relevance in Colorado. They're being left behind by the rest of the league. This is now, again, but so we sit here, and what are we supposed to hope for? Do we just hope that this team is magically going to figure it out? Do we hope that all of the issues that have plagued the Rockies offense last year that are on full display throughout the first week of the season, do we think that they're just going to magically go away and poof? It all works because it's all part of the Rockies' plan. It's all part of the plan that they have organized and everything like that. It's broken. I mean, we want to dive into the game. They got stifled by elite pitching yet again. And guess what? The pitching's only going to get better. They're going to get better as the season goes on. They're going to face better rotations. Yes, you're going up against two teams that some of the strengths is their rotation, some of the strengths is their pitching. But this is a team that has shown that the issues, the flaws, the concerns were not addressed. They're not fixed. There's no new approach on offense. There's nothing that's going to make it so Michael Toglia isn't striking out at the rate that he is. I mean, there's nothing that's instilling a great amount of confidence in the Rockies offense outside of Hunter Goodman, who continues to be a stud. Man, talk about a guy that has just decided to lock in and just, I mean, absolutely. I got to give shout outs to the people in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section that were talking goody up the whole time. I mean, this guy is showing that his potential is huge. But again, I just want to start seeing. I need to see the Rockies start surprising me a little bit. Wasting quality starts is par for the course right now. Striking out double digits 12, 13, 11 times is the norm for the Colorado Rockies. And we're not going to hear anything groundbreaking or anything after the game or with the organization. It's just going to be baseballisms, and that's baseball, that's that, that's blah, that's this, that, blah, blah, blah. But it's hard not to look at and see the rest of not only baseball, but especially the NL West thriving right now, while the Rockies continue to languish at the bottom of not only the NL West, but the bottom of baseball. This is a team that you don't have time to do any of this. This is a team that let's see if the Rockies are off to the worst start in all of baseball. Nope, the Braves at 0-7. Nationals 1-5 as well, but the Rockies right on pace with those. You know, there's plenty of teams with only 2 wins as well, so not too far behind there. But when you compare it to the division, and you have to, right? I can't not compare the Rockies to the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Giants. They're the division. They're who they're going to play the most. And while the Giants are getting out the gate with an exciting new look and doing something different and had an offseason in which they blew things up, tried in different directions, going with people that they trust. It's starting to work. It's at least raising the eyebrow of intrigue here for the opening week of the season for them. The Padres, of course, like we've talked about, the Padres, the Diamondbacks doing their thing, signing their exciting young guys. Because when you have players in the top 100 players of all of baseball, according to ESPN, you want to keep those players or figure it out. But when you're a team that doesn't have a single person on the top 100 baseball players, you're in trouble. You heard Patrick Lyons say this yesterday on the crossover, or I guess it's the crossover, but on the show. There is no star. There is no aircraft carrier. There is no big force in the middle of this lineup that brings fear. There is no one that generates the offense that the Rockies need to generate. Until this team stops striking out or hits more home runs, which both of those things have been a huge problem for the Rockies for years now, it will be the same. We know that the starters are good. We know the starting rotation has the ability to keep the Rockies in games, not just because of the small sample size, but from the past and from the history of these guys. I, again, remind you that Kyle Freeland is an 18 WAR player. Herman's up there as well. Senza is a positive WAR player. These starters are going to give the Rockies a chance more often than not this year. But you stand no chance, especially against good teams like Philly, when you go up there and it's strikeout after strikeout after strikeout after strikeout, strikeout with runners on, strikeout with runners in scoring position, strikeout in key situations. The Rockies can't stop striking out, and they've made no adjustment to fix it. They've had an offseason. They've had the same hitting coach. They've had the same approach. It's flawed. It's not working. They're outmatched, and they're overpowered by the opposition. It's plain and simple. The preparation, whatever the Rockies are doing, is not putting them in the best position to succeed. It's not putting them in the best position to avoid the strikeouts. This team's flaws are the same flaws that we saw for 162 games last year, with the exception of a better starting rotation. And then we keep log jamming the outfield. We're going to keep bringing in these things, but we're never going to truly figure out what we're going to get for some of these guys because we have to try different things. And remember, whoever, my buddy in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comments section, Martini's played almost every game. Just letting you know. Well on pace for that 40 game, more than the 40 games. So again, as it's respond, Colorado. Not respond by saying it's too hard to manage and run and be successful in baseball these days while everyone else is spending money and Scott Boras runs the league because he's got unchecked power. No, it's your lack of innovation. It's your lack of creativity. It's your consistency with sticking with flawed approaches, because you said, what's going to break the streak of 100 game lost seasons or 100 lost seasons? Bringing in everybody back, bringing the same philosophy, changing it, with the exception of a couple of position players, of course, with changes there. The definition of insanity. That's what the Rockies are doing right now on offense. All right, let's take a quick break and continue to let's brighten it up. Let's brighten the mood a little bit up here, and let's talk a little bit about Hunter Goodman and just what the impact of him has been for the Colorado Rockies, and keep exploring the wonderful world of Rockies baseball coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, actually, wait, I'm sorry. Before we go there, just want to, again, thank you for making us your first listen. Sorry, I had something else. Totally drew a blank. All right, let's take a break, and hopefully it'll come back to me. More Locked On Rockies coming your way next. Before we get back to the action, got to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When you start using Monarch, you're going to realize just how much you were spending on food delivery, streaming services, all that random stuff that can sometimes slip your mind. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check those finances, track those spendings, and plan long-term goals alongside your partner as well, because sharing accounts has never been easier. With shared and personal accounts, you can set goals and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's Monarch Money, code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off your first year. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Thanking you for making us your first listen of the day. We are your home for daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Shout outs to all of the wonderful folks on the Locked On Podcast Network. Locked On MLB's got you covered for more Major League Baseball coverage, while Locked On Fantasy Baseball's got you covered for that. And of course, if you have an AL team, perhaps maybe you're a little done on the Rockies, don't stop listening to the show. But go check out all the other great work that's going on the Locked On Podcast Network. So, again, I kind of just wanted to put a bow on it. It's just, this is, again, a prime example of the Rockies needing to show me something. The Rockies needing to show adjustments, needing to show their abilities to handle the ups and downs of baseball. Like, again, it's just so frustrating to see that this team, every other team seems to make adjustments. Every other team seems to be, locked in or looking. They just look they just look so different. They look so left behind. They look so far behind the rest of baseball and other offenses, even when the Rockies starters are going out there and helping them out and making them look a little foolish. But right now, when you're talking about it for the Rockies rank 30th in runs, 30th in on-base percentage, 24th in team batting average, 27th in slugging percentage. The sample size is small, but from what I've seen and from what we've seen in the past, I'm not abundantly confident that this team is going to dig deep and find the remedies to make it work. And now, Coors Field on the way. The weather's not going to be great, but at least I think it might improve after Friday. So we'll see. But it's still, I don't want to just sit here and just solely focus on it being Coors Field. But if you do want to salvage this beginning part of the season, and if you do want to salvage parts of the season and avoid those 100 losses, being the dominant, being a good team, being a different team at home has to happen. I did want to highlight the fact that Hunter Goodman has come out swinging. And I know that it's not always perfect when it comes to the defense side of the things. He's been good with some pitch framing, but some stuff obviously kind of is a little hot and cold on that side. But thank goodness for Hunter Goodman coming out there, being really the only Rocky that looks like they're comfortable and confident at the dish right now. Currently batting .386 with an OBP of 400 and a slugging of 842, 2 home runs, 3 RBI. All of that is leading the team right now through the first week of the season. And if you were to ask me if I expected that to start the year, no, I really didn't. And I think this is a great sign. One of the things that was encouraging to see, not only with out of Hunter Goodman's performance, but it was the immediate implementation of Hunter Goodman by the Rockies. They saw that he was in a good groove. They saw that he was in a good place. They knew what they had from the year prior and from the other times that they've seen Goodman. So not only to have the confidence to go for it, but then to have the confidence to switch him with KB, put Hunter Goodman into the 4 spot so the Rockies can actually start getting their guys that are doing damage there in that heart of the order. That hopefully will be the thing that starts breaking, starts breaking things up for the Rockies. It's one of the few silver linings on this team when it comes to the offense. There's some intrigue. I mean, I know Nick Martini's got 4 hits on the year, but Doyle had the big 3-hit day the game prior. I believe it was game 1, not the second game with the against the Phillies there. But it's gotta take a lot more than just one guy in the lineup. It's got to be more. I mean, you got to be seeing more from the top and the top of the order. You got to see more from your Tovar and your Doyles. These are the guys that are going to set the tone. And same with Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon, we're kind of seeing the classic, little bit of stretches where we've seen some impacts. We also have seen a lot of strikeouts. This is just simply it's crazy when you look at this. Like Michael Toglia has struck out 12 times. Ryan McMahon, Michael Toglia has struck out in 12 times in 19 at bats. Ryan McMahon has struck out 9 times in 19 at bats. Hunter Goodman 6, Chris Bryant 6 6 strikeouts in 14 at bats. Beck with 5 in 13. Martini with 4 in 13 at bats. And Brenton Doyle and Ezekiel Tovar both with 4 strikeouts with 20 ABs a pop. It's all of that. I mean, those strikeout numbers are flabbergasting right now. Not like I flabbergasting and just the rate that it is that's so bad. The Rockies have almost 4 guys that are striking out at a near 50% rate. I guess not so much for Hunter Goodman, a little bit less than that, but Ryan McMahon just under a 50% strikeout rate. Michael Toglia over a 50% strikeout rate. Hunter Goodman with the success. The difference, though, look at this. The difference in total bases for Hunter Goodman compared to the rest of the Rockies is insane. Hunter Goodman has 16 total bases this year. No one on the Rockies has more than 5. Obviously, the home runs are the big part of that, but he's one of 2 guys that has home runs on the from the team so far this year, with Mickey Moniak being the only other one. Nobody else has a home run this year. As you've heard on the broadcast, if you've been listening to the broadcast here, the TV broadcast throughout the start of the season, you can't be this much of a strikeout team and not hit home runs. But right now, the Rockies are a high strikeout team and a low power team. And I saw this comment on, I think it was on Reddit there, where it was talking about the high strikeout rate, the low walk rate, and the lack of offensive and the lack of home runs. The Rockies are the inverse 3 true outcomes. They strike out a lot, they don't walk, and they don't hit home runs. And that is such a massive problem. And to just hope that Coors Field is going to be the solution ain't it. It ain't going to work that way. There needs to be a lot more. And again, this is a moment where we need to see this team and the people that are preparing the players and the players themselves, because I feel like I have been, I've been a little bit more just like, what the heck on the player performance, and I'm just focusing on managers and coaches. This is on players as well. Take the steps, prove, start flexing a little bit, get pissed off. Show some emotion like Kyle Freeland did after getting the strikeouts. There are guys that are doing their jobs right now, but it's got to be real frustrating to be a starting pitcher for the Rockies right now. And it's got to be real frustrating to be a hitter for the Rockies right now too, because you feel like you're not prepared, or at least you're going up there and their stuff is better than your stuff. And that's a problem. All right, let's wind down the show with your thoughts and comments from the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible. That includes Just Ingredients. When it comes to feeling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered, we've seen this guy a bit this week, with 2 times MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. I've been using the pre-workout and the protein, and it has really made a difference. The pre-workout, I've always been a little hesitant about how those taste, what's going on with those, but the simple ingredients, the easy to, the great flavors get you pumped up and amped up, and then the protein, not only does it help you get that post-workout boost that you need, but on days like today where I got to run to the airport here, I'm going to take it to go and enjoy a nice, easy, simple protein shake to keep me full on the go. You got all you need at justingredients.us. That's justingredients.us, and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get 20% off your order. That's 20% off your order when you use code LOCKEDONMLB at justingredients.us. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram. We are also brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. You can get the no shells variety if you don't want to make a mess, or you can see all the wonderful flavor options for yourself. It's always so cool to see how many different types of flavor to give you a different kick for different parts of your snacking day. Like I said, skip the mess, get those no shells, and make sure that you're keeping things clean and easy. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. Thanking you for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you that daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Finishing up the show today with your thoughts, your comments here from the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. Let's go through here, and we're going to dip back a little bit further here. Marco says, it's great to hear that Bud Black has a great relationship with starting pitchers, but apparently what we all need for him is to have at least a good relationship with the bullpen guys. I was beat to the torpedo bat joke, but it applies to the whole team. We're averaging 11 strikeouts a game. While I do appreciate loyalty, GM Bill Schmidt's line that Bud Black has earned the right to choose when it's time to leave shows everyone that the Rocks are not a serious franchise. Yes, the players are trying to win and play well, but kudos to Bob Nightingale for exposing Rocks leadership. Timothy Adams, when answering the question, what stands out most about the Colorado Rockies, says, it has to be the starting pitching. Having Marquez and Freeland look that good is extremely positive. On the offensive side, Goodman has been the best. The bullpen has been disappointing, but I do think it will get better. Honestly, I'm kind of more confident in the bullpen than the offense at this point, if I'm being honest. TK says the problem is Buddy Black. This team, besides Kyle Freeland, has zero passion, and they get directly from a cold fish manager. There's talent on this team, but until we try to provide a spark with some different management, we will continue to see this garbage. Moniak singles with 2 outs, and does Buddy try and steal with Doyle up? Absolutely not. Why try and provide a spark? Until Buddy is gone, this team is going nowhere. A lot of criticism, the heat of criticism, I think, for Bud Black heating up this week. But I don't necessarily think it's going to do anything in terms of organizational change or differences there. We talked, CD Griff just says, what stands out is the fact that the Rockies have more losses than the rest of the NL West combined. Oof. Pain City. That one doesn't really get any easier to read. That sucks no matter how you spin it. G says, first off, Goodman is now Goody. Tolia is still Big Mike, etc. The new guy that hit the home run in his first AV is probably already maniac. Fans can't change management. Fans can get behind the team that they have. Seems like a lot of complaining online. If all you do is complain and scrutinize, are you a fan or a critic? Well, I think people ask me that question as well. I'm quite critical. I will say that. But of course, we do like to focus on some of the good stuff here. It's just overshadowed right now. At what point do we have to start worrying about them trading Kyle? If he's absolutely lights out, that might come up since you'd still have a year of control left after this season. That would shock me. I mean, I'm almost positive that it is keep Kyle Freeland. Kyle Freeland's our guy, Colorado kid, successful pitcher. If you're trading Kyle Freeland, you're trading German Marquez. You're trading Antonio Senzatella, right? You should be trading the whole farm. If you're gonna move that piece, German could walk. Like, that's the big difference there. And with the control that Freeland has, we've seen how important it is to have Kyle Freeland in the rotation. When you think about last year, even after the bad start, when he came back after the long IL stint, how good he was and how good he has been. If the Rockies do that, then it's got to be full blow up time. It's got to be boom, deal. It's got to be lots of changes there. Just because there's other options that you could look at for that trade. And I think that really changes kind of part of your identity and what your philosophy is for the Colorado Rockies. Folks, thank you so much. That was from Hold My Beers, by the way, from Joel. Thank you so much, folks, again, for your comments and for making us your first listen of the day, because we're going to wrap up for today. We got Locked On A's, Locked On Rockies crossover coming your way tomorrow. And so look out for that as we get ready to talk some ball there. Another American League West team going through, well, I guess the first time the Rockies have seen American League West this year. But Anyway, we'll see how that matches up. We'll break it all down there with Locked On A's. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Be part of the show. Fire off your Rockies hot takes. Let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And folks, if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Buffs got you covered as well. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.